Hello everyone, a very good morning to one and all present in the class. Please confirm the chat box if you all can see my screen and hear my voice loud and clear. Thank you. Super. Okay. So, Siva, yeah, I got your question. Let me try to put that here. So basically, your question is this. Let me write down the code first. So it's like this. So full chain equals. So what I'm saying here, I have a dictionary object in which, first of all, I'm saying sentiment. This is the key, and here sentiment chain, which is a chain object. Then I have review. I'm extracting the same input. And the output of this dictionary is given as input to runnable lambda. Let's say decision reviewer. So two things are happening here, Siva. Number one, when we talk about this area, this dictionary, to be more precise, what is this dictionary doing here? He is creating a parallel operation wherein whatever input I supply, for example, here, if I supply input like this, let's say, just for the example purpose, my input I supply is the product quality is amazing. Let's say if I'm supplying this input. So what will happen? Sentiment chain will return positive. Simple. Whatever he returns, since it's a function, since it's a chain, that will return a string output parser, this will be stored in sentiment variable. So your sentiment variable, so output will look like this. Your sentiment variable will have positive, and the second one is nothing but a callback only. We are just forwarding the input. So your review will be the product quality is good. Whatever, amazing. So this is the output of the initial part. This output is given as input to your function decision reviewer. Assuming that decision reviewer, there are two parameters. The first is sentiment itself, and second one is the review itself. These two parameters will be there, or maybe even single review also will be there. Both are acceptable, by the way. Let's say if single review is there, or basically input is there. So it will be like this: if review of whatever sentiment, because what you are passing is a dictionary object. This review is technically a dictionary object, okay? So I'm calling it based on the key part of the data. So I'm saying if the sentiment equal to let's say positive, let's say it will go to positive chain, else it will go to negative chain. And while it goes to positive chain, the positive chain is accepting data from this review only. It is going to the positive chain from this review only. Okay, so this is the overall flow, to be more precise. So like something like this. So input to sentiment chain, and review. This will be the dictionary output. This will be given to your runnable lambda of whatever decision reviewer, and from there you get the final result. So this is the overall flow. I hope, Siva, this is clear. Any questions in this you can ask. Okay, fine, perfect. Okay, so everybody in the class, today we will continue from where we left off. So today we are going to start our actual journey of RAG. Yesterday we saw loaders more precisely. Like I said, we are going bits and pieces yesterday and today. Tomorrow everything will be connected. So yeah, in a nutshell, see, when we talk about a basic RAG application, a basic RAG application has three components. We have the data indexing, then we have the data retrieval, and finally we have data generation. Data indexing, data retrieval, and data generation. Three things are there in a basic RAG application. See, RAG also can be of different types. Nowadays, there are different variations, different architectures of RAG. Okay. But if I talk about the core basic, this is the three things. We have indexing, retrieval, and generation. Where in indexing, what happens? You will load your historical data. Obviously, you're working with historical data and not real-time data. Remember that. So any file formats, in any file format. Because yesterday you all witnessed loaders, right? So you have a file, you supply it to your loader, right? And loader will return the set of documents. This is something which we saw yesterday. Now, this loader will output you set of documents, obviously. Now, what is the next thing? Once the documents are created, you will be splitting those documents. You will be splitting into some chunks of some various chunk size. Okay. This is basically used to control the token size. So ideally splitting, today we are going to see what are different types of splitting. Basically we'll see only one type and we'll see an example on that. But after the splitting also, whatever is the output generator, which is a split document again, this will be given to something called as vector database. This will be given to something called as vector database. Now, vector database, what it does? First of all, it will accept the splitted documents. Along with the splitted documents, it will accept your embedding algorithm. And along with the embedding algorithm, the vector database is also capable to accept the user input or user query. The output of vector database is always, I can say, the top k chunks, or basically in a very layman way, the context related to question. The context related to question. This context, basically whatever is generated based on the vector database, will be supplied to your LLM to generate context aware response. So ideally speaking, a basic RAG consists of loader, splitter, embedding, vector database, and an LLM. Yesterday, we only saw the loader aspect. We saw how loader works, how to supply the input, how to get the set of documents. Today we will see how to convert those documents into chunks using splitting and how to use embedding in a vector database. This is something basically till vector database we will try to cover today. We will be going bits and pieces because we'll understand what is the output of splitting, how does it look like, what is the output of vector database, what is the benefit here. Those things we will understand. Once we understand that, then we will create a full RAG basic application. Full RAG basic application. Okay. So that's what we are going to discuss. What is vector DB and also. Okay. Right now, I just given a high level diagram of a basic RAG. So yesterday, what we saw was the loaders. Let's continue from here. So today is what, day 5, right? Let me create a folder. Sorry. So here, Praveen, that depends. That depends. Ideally, it will not. Practically, it depends. Now, let me quickly pull up the chunk code. Okay. Use more of the unnecessary stuff for now. Okay, so everybody, I hope you all can see the notebook now. So simple concept, chunking. So first of all, why do we need chunking? One of the very common reason why we need to split our data or why we need to ensure our context is a chunked data is we all know the fact that LLMs has something called context limit. Context limit means what? The max token window. Every LLM, whichever LLM you name, GPT-4, Claude, anything, DeepSeek, anything, they all have a token window limit. They all have a token window limit. For example, if I just go to platform.openai.com here in front of you, this one, if I go to models, if I randomly select any model, let's say GPT 5.1, okay. Can you see there is a context limit? What is the context limit? 4 lakh tokens. 4 lakh tokens. So any input or any input, see when I say input, input is the combination of user input and the context. Now that context may come from memory or the context may come from vector database or context may come from anywhere, maybe from another LLM, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, the input plus context is the final context window. So the maximum you can go for, is 4 lakhs if you're using what? GPT 5.1. Now in all our examples, we are using GPT 4o. Let me show you what is the situation of GPT 4o. So if I scroll down here, 4o, I'll go with 4o mini. This is what we are using, right? GPT 4o mini in most of the situations. See, 1.28 lakhs context window. So this is the point I'm trying to explain you. When I talk about why we need chunking, first of all, we need to understand the fact that LLM has context limit. So if your document is too long, it cannot fit in a prompt. So for example, if I'm asking some question related to HR policies, you cannot simply dump that entire PDF. What if that PDF number of words is greater than the allowed words? So how much is allowed? 1,28,000 multiplied by 4. These many characters are only allowed in one input. 5,12,000 characters. I'm talking specifically GPT-4o. What if my context alone is more than 5 lakh, let's say more than 6 lakhs? obviously it will throw an error. Obviously it will throw an error. Okay, so we need a mechanism to control the context window. We need a mechanism to control the context window, and that can be done using chunking. Another reason why we use chunking, see, it improves retrieval accuracy. Means what? When I use chunked data with a vector database, I can ensure for the given question only related data will go to the LLM. Only related data will go to the LLM, not the entire document. So this will make the turnaround time of the application faster in terms of response. The response turnaround time will drastically improve. We are not sending irrelevant info, because when we send irrelevant info, chances are LLM may hallucinate. LLM may hallucinate. Okay. Third thing, of course, faster search and lower cost. As I said, lower cost because less number of tokens, less number of meaningful tokens equals efficient response. Less number of meaningful tokens equals efficient response. So just to keep your application cheaper, we use chunking. That is the overall goal of chunking. Okay. So always same thing I have given. So here in this example, everybody please observe. This example is very important. Okay. So same thing, first thing first, I am loading this. See, what is the first process? We load the data. Okay, I have already this demo.txt within this same location, loading the data. We all know the output of loading is a document object. Once the document object is created, what am I doing? I am chunking the data. Chunking means splitting. Okay, like how we split based on spaces, word splitters, tokenizers. You can call it as tokenization, everybody. Tokenization, though, is not an exactly correct word, but yeah, as an analogy you can consider. Okay, sentence-based tokenization, like that, whatever. So when I talk about splitters, there are different splitters available. 90% of the time, your problem will be solved using recursive character text splitter. There are different splitters, by the way, you can explore that. But one of the splitter that you commonly use is recursive character text splitter. For here, you need to specify two parameters, chunk size and chunk overlap. Now to understand the concept of chunk size and chunk overlap, I'll deliberately reduce this value. So I will say chunk overlap as 3, chunk size as 5. Let me show you my input so that things will make more sense. As you can see here, I have given an input A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Deliberately this has been kept so that you'll understand the meaning of recursive character text splitter. So here, when I say chunk size 5 means what? One chunk will have 5 characters. One chunk will have 5 characters. Chunk overlap means what? Previous chunk's last 3 characters will be repeated. Previous chunk, last 3 characters will be repeated. For example, if I just execute and show you the output of chunks, don't worry with the third one. Third one is for visualization I have written. Basically, we stop here only. But see, A, B, C, D, E. So 5 characters. Why? Chunk size is 5. Why? Chunk size is 5. But see the chunk 2. This is where you understand the meaning of chunk overlap. Last 3 characters of chunk 1 will continue in chunk 2. Now, why dataset should be prepared this way? Because the goal is to make the LLM give context with continuity. Goal is to give LLM context with continuity. And very important thing, I hope you all remember the facts. LLMs don't think, they simply emit characters. As a matter of fact, all the data set that they prepared for training an LLM, your feature will be one chunk, your label will be next to character of that chunk. So let's say if the feature was A, B, C, D, E, the label will be F. the feature was B, C, D, E, F, the label will be G, like that. This is for those who understand deep learning and machine learning. For them, I'm saying this as an analogy. Okay. So now here I just gave a very basic example of recursive character text splitter, how we split the documents. Okay. Theoretically, this is the meaning. Practically, it also depends on spaces. It also depends on slash n to ensure word is not cut automatically. Okay, so even that parameter is there which you need to consider. So overall, we don't need to deep dive into the logic of recursive character text splitter. Okay, no need to do that, because this is prepared in such a way that LLM will optimally understand your chunks. So this is a very simple example. Like I said, if I just run this chunks, you can see the output of chunk is what? A document object only, which contains the content chunk and the metadata from where I got the data. So content chunk and metadata. A very simple classic example of using recursive character text splitter. So that's it for the splitting part. There are other splitters too, but let me tell you, 90% of the time we use this only, so focus on this part only. So first thing first, I will share this notebook and the code, and the data set, and then I'll check all the questions. Okay, first let me share everything one by one. Today is what? Day 5. After this, there's a space, my dear. Okay, even space is a character, remember that. Yeah, because there are spaces. Even it is splitted based on space, it is also splitted based on slash n. So the logic is written in such a way that it will be preceded based on line separator, line separator, word separator, then character separator. So it takes the precedence basically. That's the logic of recursive. Okay. So everybody, can you please check and confirm if you can access day 5 folder? Let me just do one thing inside the folder. I'll create a splitter folder. Wait, huh? Because I'll be adding many more code. I don't want you to confuse. Wait, let me just reorganize the folder. You can download it, but still, okay. I reorganized the folder. You'll find a folder called splitter inside Define. And inside splitter, you'll find the code and the file. Okay, let me just see the chats one by one from the beginning. Sai Vishnu, can you please share Python LangChain work we will go through before? I can give you, but later don't tell me if you get confused. Huh? I will give you today. Next. Could you please use S3 vector store for storing? No, sorry, beyond the scope, Vipin. Can't help it. Sai, chunking is similar to splitting in Java? Yes. Jimit, it showed max output tokens. Is it the total number of tokens we can use in that model? No, total number of tokens the model can emit as an output. That is for the output basically, Jimit. Is chunk embedding term same as vector embeddings? Kind of. But the vector embedding there is one more extra step, but that I will show you in vector database. Vipin, to maintain continue, but overlap one should be enough, right? Depends on the use case and whether what is the ideal value of chunk size and chunk overlap. That is something you need to do a trial and error. At times you will see your RAG application not giving good answers. It is giving correct answers, but it is giving incomplete answers. Whenever you face such a situation, you may need to play with the chunk size and chunk overlap. Maybe you may need to increase the chunk size and increase the chunk overlap. So this is more like a tuning parameter. So if suppose your RAG application is answering perfectly, no issues, whatever values you have selected, that's perfect. But if it's not answering in a good way, if it's not answering as per the expectation, maybe you need to increase the size. That is the technique here. Jimit, is there a strategy with overlap? Overlap 2 versus overlap 3 if size is 5. So that's what the Jimit, see. proactively you cannot determine what is the sweet spot. Reactively, you need to check which values will actually help you to get the best possible answers. This is something which you check at the evaluation phase. So yesterday, Samir, I have answered this question. You asked me this question yesterday. Training LLM is possible if LLM is private or on premises, or we can train OpenAI LLM as well. We can train OpenAI AI LLM. Basically, when I say train, we can fine tune. We can fine tune, but remember your LLM will reside in OpenAI only. You can fine tune it, you can host it, okay, and you can use it in your applications, but always remember model will not be locally stored, it will be saved in that in their API servers. You will have access through it through the SSH tunnel, and you can use it. Okay, perfect. Everybody please go through the code. Can you explain the memory context also in the RAG diagram? I haven't put memory context in RAG yet. I only explained basic RAG yet. First, we'll complete basic RAG, then we'll think about memory. Okay, step by step. So, Jaya, does the chunking also help with distributed computing? See, distributed computing chunking concept is different from this chunking. Don't mix up the both. That would be my request. See, first of all, when we are acquiring and storing the data, you can store it in a distributed environment. There's no doubt on that. Okay. But here, whatever blocks physically you're working on, even those blocks are chunked. Chunking here is to ensure the context window is limited. That is the goal. Okay. So distributed computing, technically it will not help, because end of the day, he will read the blocks, physically speaking. He will not convert blocks into mini blocks in a nutshell. It will be staying in the same machine. Hope I'm able to give you that clarity, Soja. Yeah. No, I'm just printing. So I was just printing for visualization purpose. Only first three chunks. That's it. You can ignore that print because we are not using that in future. That was only to show you the content. So everybody, another 3 minutes, and then we'll proceed with the next one. Correct, Anshul. Like I said, when you talk about recursive character text splitter, there's a precedence. First will be the line separator, then will be the character separator, then will be the what we say, sorry, line separator, word separator, character separator. Three things. So this is as per OpenAI basically. I mean, sorry, this is as per LangChain basically. So according to them, this strategy really helps to elevate the chunk size. Vishal, if we have huge amount of input data, okay, no problem. This is the only way to do, or we need to take some other approach. This is one of the approach. This is one of the approach. Now, whether approach needs to be changed, strategized, then in that case, you need to try different chunks also. Ideally speaking, in my experience, 90% of the problems are solved using this. Very rarely, maybe you may need to work with different chunking strategies. Vishal. Praveen, RAG is always deployed using LangChain framework. No, we also have Llama Index, we have AgentKit, we have many other stuff. LangChain is one of the framework. And if we have input data in multiple formats and database, what should be approach? Doesn't matter, Vishal, because chunking comes after loading. So first thing first, you complete the loading, right? You will load it, you will embed, you will load it, you will concatenate it, and then you go for chunking. So those things are already taken care in loading phase. Got it, Vishal? So Mushtaq, I haven't taught you vector DB yet, so I can't answer that right now. Wait now, wait. Let's start vector DB, then we'll discuss. Okay, so requesting all of you to stop your work and check my screen now. Yes, Vishal. Yes. You are right. You are right. So, end of the day, all objects will be a format document, right? So, you will be appending those documents and you will have a single object, assuming all the three documents are related and maybe their schema matches. You feel me? For example, CSV plus database. I'm assuming the schema matches. That's why you're appending. I mean, it should make sense why we are appending. I hope that is clear, right? But yeah, point is, yes, that you will supply to chunking. Yeah, Surya, once I complete, I will upload the whiteboard. Huh? Just allow me some time. Hmm. So everybody now, before we even jump into vector database and all, people are asking vector database, two people have asked me, just be patient with me, please. Before vector database, first you need to understand what is embedding. So my next topic is embedding. So first of all, once again, see, no need to worry about deep diving into the concept of embedding because embedding is, we are not going to use embedding directly. Embedding concept is used by vector database internally. But still I am teaching just to ensure you have some intuition about embedding. Once again, don't deep dive into the concept of embedding. Your goal is not to prepare an embedding algorithm. That's not your goal at all. Okay? Your goal here is simply to know which embedding algorithms are there that you can use with your vector store. Okay? Now, please see here. So, first thing first, I have a small sample text. I'm converting it into a file, simple Python basics, everybody. Nothing I'm doing here, file handling. I don't know why I did this. I should have given sample.txt, but okay. Here I'm just loading my data as usual. Here I'm chunking my data as usual. Now comes the embedding part. Now this is where I want you to understand. First thing first, please understand one fact. You are not going to control the embedding layer. I am going to control embedding layer here only with an intention to teach you what is embedding. That's it. Don't get serious with this coding because when I show you the RAG application, you'll understand why I'm saying. Don't get serious with this coding. This is only for intuition purpose. And all developers in the class, all hardcore developers in the class, you need to pay attention. Because most of the time, at least when I work with any companies, I have a hardcore developer where at times I tell my developers to change the logic of embedding. I mean, there are situations where as an architect, I may need to take that decisions. And this is very common in our rack space, by the way. Okay, it's very common. So there, how embedding works, what are the things you can do, what are the possibilities you can do, what permutation combination you can work with, you should be aware about that. But once again, remember, those who are not developers, do not worry about this. This will be taken care by your dev team. This will be not taken care by you. Okay. So first of all, what is embedding? I mean, in conceptual way, what is embedding? So let me try to show that in the whiteboard only first. So first of all, see, embedding in general means what? Embedding in general means we are converting. So let me write down here. It's all about converting text data or blob data. I'm using the word blob because inputs nowadays can be anything, right? That's why I'm just changing my definition here. But ideally, when the concept of embedding came into picture, it was solely text data. So when you check the notebooks and ebooks and all, you will see they say the word text alone. But ideally, converting text or blob data into its vector form. Into its vector form. Now, what do you mean by vector form and why vectors is required? First of all, mathematically, what is vectors? What do you mean by the term vectors in mathematics, everybody? Please tell me. What is vectors? Something that has magnitude and direction? Yes or no? Mathematics, physics, you may have learned this concept somewhere, right? Magnitude and direction. Magnitude means what? Magnitude means the values that you see in an array. Direction means what? Direction means the axis where it plans to go, basically, right? X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis, or something similar. Direction, basically. Positive direction, negative direction, upward, downward, like that. Similar to this also, see, what is the overall goal of embedding? If I want to put in a very simple layman way, without going technical also, the goal is to create a fixed size input. So for example, if I say my embedding dimension is 10, what does it mean? My input will be always of 10 characters, irrespective whatever I supply here. For example, if my input is, let's say, welcome, how many characters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still, my output will be of 10 character, will be of 10 values, basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So welcome also will be represented like these numbers, something like this. These numbers are calculated using some eigenvector calculation. Once again, will not deep dive into the mathematics, whatever it is. If I give an input like this, welcome to my world. How many characters are there? 100% is more than 10 characters. 100% is more than 10 characters, right? Still, the output will be of 10 characters. So short and sweet, what is the goal? The goal is to create a fixed size input. And these inputs basically are called as vectors. These outputs generated by embedding, they are called as vectors. So I can say it's a numeric representation of text that captures semantic meaning. So similar text will technically have similar vectors. Now, why we need embedding? We need embedding so that when I supply the embedded values to the vector database will be capable to do something called as similarity search. For example, I'm just giving a hypothetical example. Just because of embedding, now my vector database can understand every word in two-dimensional space. For example, let's say I have Prashant, I have Vihan, then I have Maharashtra, I have Mumbai, I have, let's say, Taj Hotel, then I have Chandni Chowk. What is happening here? Because of vectors, the system will be able to understand whether the words are related to each other or whether the words are not related to each other. For example, there is no relationship between Prashant and Taj, but there is relationship between Prashant and Vihan. Maybe because in the dataset somewhere the system identified Prashant is the father for Vihan or something like this. Something like this maybe. Or there will be a data set where Maharashtra's capital is Mumbai. In Maharashtra, there is Taj Hotel. Or maybe Chandni Chowk in Delhi, Chandni Chowk in Pune. So Delhi, Pune may become related because of Chandni Chowk. It can be anything. So short and sweet, to create a relationship such that system can extract relevant data using similarity search. That is only possible when you embed your data. Embedding converts your text data into numerical format through which we can extract the semantic relationship of the text. Remember, unlike human beings, where we understand emotions and based on emotions we try to correlate the stuff, practically in computers doesn't hold emotions. So what they do, they mathematically try to create relationships. How do they create relationships? The first ever algorithm created in the mankind was similarity search via numerical way. In a two-dimensional space, in an x and y, if the 2 points are nearby, we use the distance formula. That was the concept we learned, right? Distance formula you may have learned, x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus 1 the whole square, the square root. You may have learned that. We call it as Euclidean distance formula. Then we had the Manhattan distance formula. But from there, people realized that the similarity should not be taken based on distance. It should also be taken based on probability. Then came into something called as cosine similarity, tangent similarity. So point is, to do all this stuff, what do you need? Your data should be represented in numeric form. Can I have a fixed size numerical form data set? Yes. Using what? Using embedding. So embedding is all about converting the text data into a vector form of fixed size. Into a vector form of fixed size. Now this is something that is required to make the data compatible for similarity search. But we need not only need the compatibility, we also need a system that can store the data and that can do similarity search. So who will store the data and who will do the similarity search? The vector database. Now what is the role of vector database? The role of vector database is to store the embedded data and give a capability to perform query over embedded data. So in a nutshell, what is vector database? I can say it's a database capable to, number one, store embedded data and give capability to query embedded data. And one more capability, inverse transform, why I'm using such words, convert embedded data back to text data. Convert embedded data back to text data. So this work is taken care by whom? Taken care by vector database. Later some genius guy thought, why to even tell the developers to use embedding on their own? So what they said? They said, buddy, I will also create one more responsibility to vector database. What? Convert document into embeddings. Means all AI engineers in the class, no need to worry about even taking care of this technicality. So a vector database can perform all these four activities for you. Converting document to embedded data, store the embedded data, give capability to query embedded data using similarity search algorithm, distance formula, or whatever way you want. And once again, language can be SQL based, it can be function based. I mean, once again, depends on the vector database. And convert embedded data back to text data. So see, vector database taking care of everything. Vector database taking care of everything. So here in this code, what I done, even though vector database can do everything for me, still I thought, let me show you something intuitively. Just to show you intuitively. Do not deep dive into this part. Do not deep dive into this part. This is my humble request. And you will understand this in my next program where I will create my basic RAG. Okay. So be very patient with me here. So here now, someone asked me the question how to decide the embedding dimension size. Let me tell you, that's the beautiful thing. For embeddings, we are going to use pre-trained models released by OpenAI, released in Hugging Face, released by different authors. And whoever prepared the models for embedding, they have defined the embedding size for you and you cannot change it. That is fixed. So you need not take the headache of deciding the embedding dimension size. That's the beautiful thing here. So they have given almost everything to you. You need not take any decision. All decisions are taken by them. But at times there are situations where we may need to work with different embedding dimensions. There I tell my developers to please develop custom embedding softwares. I mean custom embedding functions. So, it depends. There are situations. I have worked on such situations, by the way. That's why I'm saying that. Coming back here, I am using OpenAI embedding, as you can see. So OpenAI embedding, remember, using this model is 100% free. You're not charged for any tokens and all, but yes, you need to have OpenAI API key to use this model. That is the basic rule. Okay. Using embedding models is 100% free. Just to give you an idea, the vector shape of OpenAI, which I have printed here, I just took this formally. So you can see here, the total chunks I have is 11 chunks because yes, here total 11 chunks are generated in the previous code within my sentence. By the way, this is the only data I'm working with. Okay, but see the dimension size. So each chunk of size 1536 means what? There are 1536 words. There are 1536 entries. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Now there are different embeddings. That's why I thought to even show you another example using Hugging Face. There's something called Hugging Face embeddings in which you can take different models. These are all different models available. For this, you can see the size, dimension size is 384 dimensions. Once again, do not deep dive into dimension size and all right now. Not required at all. As a matter of fact, what OpenAI says is, if you are using their GPT models, they highly recommend to use their embeddings. That's it. Similarly, if you are using Google Gemini, they recommend to use their embeddings. But practically speaking, it really doesn't matter. You can use OpenAI embeddings with Google Gemini, or you can use Mini-LM embeddings with OpenAI GPT. Doesn't matter at all. But theoretically, they suggest to do that. That's it. So here I just shown how to load it, how to see the shape and all. Okay, don't worry about that. I was talking about retrieval. Please see here. I have a question here. What is RAG in LangChain? Pay attention. Huh? This is where I want you to understand the meaning of embedding. See here. This paragraph, does this paragraph have information of what is LangChain? Say yes or no. I'll take all the questions later. Leave it aside. But everybody, does this paragraph have the answer to the question, what is LangChain? Say yes or no. It has, right? Let's confirm through similarity search, shall we? So what I'm doing here, I have my embeddings. I created my embeddings here. If you observe, I created my embedding here using a function embed documents. Okay, where I pass my chunked text. So I have my vectors here. Okay, so I have my embeddings here. So what I'm doing, I'm saying embed query. Okay, so see the output of embedding here. So this is the output of embedding. Remember, the output of embedding is always a vector. Yes or no? The output of embedding is always a vector. This is a vector output. To convert this vector output into text output, what I'm doing? I'm using cosine similarity. So if you see the cosine similarity here, I'm getting the top chunks. And not only that, I am getting the values of the top chunk. Can you see? This is the output I received. LangChain is an open source framework for. This is the most relevant chunk I have received. And this chunk has been received using cosine similarity function. Now see, these are all internals. These are all internals. Please pay attention. These are all internals. You will be not writing this 20 lines of code. Because all these things, what I'm showing you internally, are taken care by vector database. Vector database will do this hard work for you. You need not do this. What you will do, you will simply query the vector database. That's it. And that too, let me be very frank, you are not going to query that. LLM will query that. So RAG is something, superficially it's a simple component. But internally what is happening, if you understand that, then only you can fine tune your RAG. Then only you can repair and optimize your RAG. The goal of teaching you this way is to ensure you at least understand the intuition behind the process of context building. This code is all about giving you context building idea. You feel me, everybody? This is not the thing you are practically going to do in your RAG application. This is only for making you understand the concept. Those who understood, good. Those who haven't understood, still it's okay. Still it's okay. You are safe. Because this is not the real thing. The real thing comes in my next code demo, by the way. Okay. And let me show you that also. Let me share you that also so that you will feel safe. So my next code example, pay attention. This code example is a basic RAG application. Just pay attention. I'll take all the questions later. Huh? Right now, I want to maintain this continuity. So be very patient with me. We have enough time. I will take all questions later. Okay. So everybody, as you can see here, this is the data set. Same data set. LangChain is an open source framework for building applications, so and so, so and so. Retrieval, augmented generated, so and so, so and so. Prashant Nair is one of the best AI trainers in the world. I have given this information in my data set. This is my data set. Let me even remove the unnecessary white spaces. I'm saving this. I'll go back here. We'll talk about different vector stores later, but right now, let me show you something. Let me show you something. Pay attention, everybody. Loading the data, I hope it makes sense. Chunking and loading makes sense. See what I'm doing here. Pay attention. Even this is not required, by the way. I am just initializing OpenAI embeddings. So after chunking, step 3. Initialize embeddings. Step 4. Pay attention. Very, very important. Step 4. Initialize vector store. What is vector store's job role? What is vector store's job role? The 4 things I told you. Convert document to embedding means what? Are you supplying documents or are you supplying vector to the vector store? You will always supply documents. See here. Here I am using Fasaias. Fasaias means Facebook AI Similarity Search. It's one of the vector stores available in market created by Facebook. So here I am just initializing my vector store. Wherein what I'm doing? I am passing the chunk data. I am passing the embedding algo. Can you see? I am not doing the embedding, am I? No. Who is doing the embedding for me? Fasaias will do it. Who will make the data queryable? Fasaias. Will I take care of anything? No. See, this is why I said you need not worry about anything. This I will just comment for 2 minutes. What are these things? We'll see later. So step number 4, initialize vector store. Step number 5, build vector from chunks. Build vector from chunks. Step number 4. Step number 5. Now this also ignore it for 5 minutes. This also ignore for 5 minutes. Now step 5, can you see? Query. Query. Pay attention. Using Fasaias I'll query. ChromaDB, ignore for 5 minutes, please. Oops. So what I'm doing, vector store dot similarity search. I'll pass my query. I'll say top 5. See here. See here, see here, see here. What is Dragon-Lang chain? I am passing this query. See the output. I am just printing the chunks. I am just printing the context generated by vector store. Oops, I think I need to execute from the beginning. I haven't done that. So loading the data, chunking the data, embedding, initializing the vector store, preparing the vector, and then querying. Preparing vector will take around 1 minute because, yeah, done. And then querying. Can you see? He got the relevant chunk. According to him, data is very small. What is RAG in LangChain? LangChain RAG, this is the data. This is the data. So everybody, till here, everybody understood the flow? Flow is clear? Because I don't want you to worry about this embedding code. That's why I have shown you this first half. Because I want to make you clear that this is only for internal understanding. This code of embedding is only for internal understanding. Actual implementation you saw, right? What is step 1? Step 1 is loading and chunking. Step 2 is, sorry, loading is step 1. I'll just write down properly here for you. Step 1, loading. Step 2, chunking. Step 3, initialize embedding. Step 4, initialize vector store. Step 5, build vector store. Step 6, I mean, if you want, you can perform query, for example, but step 6 is something which I will discuss later to you all. Okay? Till here, all okay, kindly confirm. Till here, the flow is clear because I haven't completed my RAG yet. I have only completed the first half of the RAG. In short, if I go by diagram, I only explained you the first 2 blocks. I haven't explained you the third block yet. Only first 2 blocks I have explained. Okay? And the reason why I continuously explain this part, first 2 blocks, is to just give you an awareness that you need not worry about anything here. What we are learning, different embedding exists just for your internal understanding purpose, just to explain you the meaning of embedding dimensions, also to show you the facts that you can not restrict yourself to OpenAI, you can go for other options. I shown you these things. And also in the embed query, the output is always a vector store. So how to convert vector store into normal text is something I have shown you the internal logics. See, once again, internal logic is for your intuition purpose. Don't deep dive into this. Developers can deep dive because developers will automatically understand the code. There's no doubt on that. Those who are not from developer background, just stay relaxed because for RAG, everything is taken care by your vector store object. And later you will see that part it's still incomplete. I haven't completed. I'll give you this code later. First, I'll give you embedding code. I request you to just go through the code once. Okay? So just give me a minute. Where is my Google Drive, embedding. Remember, RAG is still incomplete, so be very patient. RAG is still incomplete. I haven't taught RAG completely yet. But by the end of the day, you will understand RAG. Everybody check and confirm if you can access the embedding code. Thank you. Check and confirm if you can access the embedding code. Let me see all the questions from the top. Sai Vishnu, what is VectorDB? I answered that. Okay. I think I went way too top. Let me just scroll down. These all already been discussed. Semantic matching goes back to attention mechanism. Surya, no. This semantic matching is not inside the LLM model. The attention mechanism is inside the LLM model. We are outside LLM. Okay, Surya? So that's not attention mechanism. Here we are using cosine similarity as an example. See, algorithm may differ based on the vector store that you're using. The default vector stores has some different algorithms. Some use Harvey-Sine similarity algorithm. Some might use tangent similarity. Some might use the standard Manhattan distance formula. So it depends on the vector store, but there is no attention mechanism. Okay. So, Mitra, who will decide the fixed size? I hope that's clear. Since we are using embedding as a model, the creator has already fixed the embedding dimension size. So it's not our responsibility. Jimith, how we decide the embedding size? Same answer. What is the difference between vector store and vector database? Both are same. These are just two different naming conventions. Earlier it was called vector database. In terms of RAG, the same component is called as vector store. Vipin, so are we saying that vector DB can convert document into embedding without LLM? Of course, yes, because technically the embedding itself is a model. It itself is a model which is capable to do that. Though it's not an LLM, but it's a trained deep learning model. Okay, Vipin? Basically, it's a LSTM model. Jimit, is vector embedding intelligent enough to understand the relationship, or do we need to define it explicitly? No, the vector embedding model is trained with a real life data set. So obviously it can understand the relationship. What are the parameters that will optimize the embeddings? No parameters are there. Only change of algorithm. And we don't focus on those parameters. We focus on retrievers parameters. And that we are yet to discuss, Vivek. Rupesh, what is Hugging Face? Hugging Face is just another platform from where you can get the models, like OpenAI platform. As per my understanding, this is from Vipin. As per my understanding, embedding is done by LLM, not by VectorDB. Embedding is done by a model, and that model is something which we are loading. So this one, OpenAI, this is a trained deep learning model. So this model is responsible to do the embedding. Okay, not the LLM, not the GPT. Short and sweet. So inside the VectorDB, this model gets activated based on the command of VectorDB, and it will generate the vectors. Short and sweet. What is K equals to? Top two similarities. So K means the top n similar chunks. So I am calling only top two similarities, similar chunks. If I request, I can request for top 10, top 3 chunks like that. Anshul, we are not calling any LLM? No. Till now, we haven't called any LLM yet. Apurva, sir, the code doesn't run in my place. It shows model not found. I think you need to recheck my day one recording again. You haven't set up the environment variable, maybe, or maybe you haven't set up the environment. You haven't created that. Just recheck all those things. Jimit, with import Fasize library, can we use vector store without explicitly installing VectorDB? You installed VectorDB, right? If Fasize Python is a package, it's a package basically which you have installed. You told earlier, so basically, Jimit, just for your clarity, see here, in the requirement of TXT, if you check, we have installed Fasize CPU, see, okay? So it's a Python package. You told earlier LLM will do that query also, not even the user. How LLM know it's working in the RAG setup? So Praveen, I only explained the half RAG. The remaining part I will actually answer your query. Okay. So once we complete the RAG wala code, I guess everything will be clear. Apurva, I don't see embedding.ipyne in the shared folder. It's inside day 5 embedding folder, ma'am. Just recheck it again. Kishan, from yesterday's class till I was not sure how RAG will help LLM to stop hallucinating because RAG is a component of our application. Number one, Kishan, no technology or no technique in this world can stop LLM from hallucinating. We can reduce the hallucination level. See, why hallucination happens? If you understand the core concept, the reason why hallucination happens is because we are not supplying enough information to LLM. So how RAG solves it? RAG solves it because RAG provides context to the user query. So technically, if the LLM already has hints on what answer to be given, obviously he will not hallucinate. Think of copying answers from your friend's answers sheet sitting in front of you. If the friend is showing his paper and you see the pointers, you can write something better. If he's not showing and still you want to fill the paper with songs, you're hallucinating, right? Think in that way. LLM is getting guidance from vector store. That's the reason he will not hallucinate. I'll not say he will not, I'll say probably he will not hallucinate. That's what I'm saying. Okay, Kishan, so that's the way how hallucination is reduced. I will never say hallucination will be eliminated. No rag in this world or no concept in this world can eliminate hallucination. That's the bitter truth. Mustaq, with open files. Okay. So right now, see in the code, just for simplicity, I have created the file. You can even load the file. I have also given the sample.txt. So in the load, you can load it. You need not even run that. Okay. Apurva, I'm assuming you can access the file. You asked me question one more time. That's why I'm confirming that. Hmm. Yeah, thank you. Next question. Surya, little confused here. This is what also my understanding. Yes, modern vector embedding techniques, especially those used in transformer models, use attention mechanism to create contextualized meanings embeddings. The attention mechanism calculates the importance of different parts of input data to produce a more nuanced context-aware representation as described in the nature and Hugging Face. Now, one very important thing, Surya, you are confusing between two different concepts. Vector embedding technique. Modern vector embedding technique means what? There are modern tools available which uses attention mechanism. But the one that I am using here, OpenAI embeddings, it doesn't use this attention mechanism. That's what I'm saying. Okay. There can be embedded models with attention mechanism. I never said there cannot be, but this is not using that. That's what I'm saying. Okay. FYI, LLM parameter equals dimension of vector. Yeah. Follow up on previous question. By just mentioning the model name in the embedding variable, we are able to create vector embedding. If yes, then how it's really working? The vector embedding itself is a model. That's what I'm saying, Vipin. Yeah, that itself is a model for converting what? Converting chunks, not PDF content. Converting chunks into embedding. Got it, Vipin? This model which I load in the embeddings, here embed document, this is responsible to convert. And who will initiate the conversion? The Facades will initiate the conversion. When I do facades.doc, when I run this query now in the RAG, it will do the initialization and everything. It will do everything internally. Just one line of code. Chicky, model 7 billion parameters equals 7 billion dimensions? Not exactly. Yeah, I mean, sorry, if you're talking in terms of input, yes. Anshul, I have doubts regarding chunking from the previous code where you split so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. Yeah, see, once again, Anshul, this is where we don't have any control. The logic is written in the precedence of line separator, word separator, and character separator. Okay. So unfortunately, we don't have control over decision making on how the splitting happens. If you want to take total control over splitting decision, in that case, you need to create your custom splitter. Okay, Anshul? I understand the value of k and chunk size should be decided based on the context window size of the model supported. Whenever it's random. Chunk size and k, you need to do trial and error. Yes. Not based on the context window size, I would say. Yeah, I mean, you can consider the context window size, but it will be always less than it will be always 50% of the context size window, most of the time. I mean, this is what is observed by me based on whatever I have worked with. Okay? Vipin, 1 minute. You can unmute now.
Hey Prashant, thank you for allowing me to ask my question. First,
Go ahead.
confirm if my voice is clear.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question was, by just adding or mentioning the model name in that line, are we able to create the vector embedding? If
So
that
see
is
here.
the correct
I hope you're
thing,
watching my screen in parallel, right?
yeah, I'm watching your screen. Let me ask the follow-up question. So if that statement is correct in that situation, if I will go offline and if I have a local DB in my machine, then in that case it should be working, right?
If your vector store is created, yes.
Yeah, so let's say either Fires or Quadrant DB I have locally installed in my machine. And if I will run this code without internet, it should work.
Correct. So if you save it this way, see here, see this line of code. If you save it this, and later, if you want to use, you will not require this also. You will simply use vector store object in the further code.
Okay. Because
I hope that answers the question.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I got I need to just test it because this is my second training for rack setup. And in the previous training from someone else provider, the understanding was whenever we are creating a vector DB, first time it has to store the data in a form of vector form. And to convert the data into a vector form, we need a LLM. And for that
Creation,
LLM, it
completely
could.
agreed. Creation, completely agreed. But once created, you can use this vector store offline.
Yeah, so that was my first. That was a question. Just to convert. So whenever we are storing, before that we have to convert, right? Let's say if I have a 10 GB of data, okay, and that 10
So
GB of
let me put
data is
it in a nutshell.
converted.
See, to run this line of code, you need internet.
Okay, so that's where my confusion was. So my understanding was correct in that case because somewhere you mentioned that you can do that without the LLM because you mentioned somewhere that vector DB is responsible for converting into a vector embedding. But
So
that's not the
vector
correct
DB
statement, right?
is responsible to do the embedding, okay? Because we are only we are supplying embedding here. That's what I said, okay? LLM is not used. Remember, this is not an LLM. Just to keep you informed. This text embedding 3 small, this model is not an LLM.
Okay, if that is not LLM, then in which step we are actually calling the LLM?
We are yet to discuss that. Short and sweet,
Okay.
if you see here. This is the place where I'm calling LLM. We are yet to discuss that, Sanjeev.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
Retrieval
thank you.
chain. So you had a previous training, now. So you may have done this retrieval chain, right? So we call
Yes,
our LLM in the retrieval chain, Sanjeev, to be more precise.
got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so everybody take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes and completely go through the embedding. Later, we will complete this basic RAG application. Okay. Yeah. It's in progress, Jimmy. I haven't completed. That's why I haven't uploaded. Right now, you're only seeing the embedding notebook. That's it. Just to understand the intuition behind embedding. Hi, sir. Indexing is covered here. Yeah, indexing. See, indexing happens within the within here vector store only, Sarji. Okay, so indexing explicitly we don't do anything. That is taken care by your vector store. Okay. If you have local embedding model, then no need of internet. Correct, Chiki. 100% correct. If you have local embedding model, if you have local LM, then no internet. 100% correct. Embedding notebook just shows result of similarity search. Correct. Because Vishal, the goal of embedding notebook was to only explain the intuition behind embedding. Nothing more than that. Okay. So all of you, another 3 minutes and then we'll continue with full RAG basically. Oh, I got a question once again. Sorry to bug you. Sentence transformer. Sentence transformer uses attention mechanism. I agree to that. This is the library we are installing at the beginning of embedding code. No, not necessary. So, Surjia, once again, are you referring to this model or not? Just confirm me that first before I continue my discussion. No, no. My question is, you are asking me about what? Actually, I'm not clear with that. Can you give me a confirmation on what you're asking me? You're asking me about the Hugging Face one, this one? You're talking about this one? That's what you're asking me? So first of all, if I talk about Mini LM V6 V2, this is not an LLM. Now, sentence transformer is used by this Hugging Face embeddings class, but it is not used for this model. This model is called to create vector store. So first of all, let me tell you, see, LLM means what? LLM means something that can generate characters. These LLM generate vectors. Therefore, we cannot call it, therefore they are not qualified to call as LLMs. Let me put it this way. Okay, Surya? Any model, if you're calling LLM, the scope is the model should emit characters. If your model is emitting characters, it's LLM. If it's not, then it is something else. Hope that gives you some clarity. I don't see retriever plus lag. I haven't shared yet, Veer. We are yet to discuss that. Embed documents, embed query, how are these functionalities different? Embed documents take document as an input, query takes string as an input. Vishal, that's the only difference. Document object, string object. Okay. Guys, I'll be back in 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we'll start with the same retriever plus lag notebook. Okay, everybody, shall I proceed? Shall I proceed with the next one? Retriever plus lag? So Vishal, here I just took only first context. That's it. I mean the first vector for simplicity of showing the stuff. Nothing more than that. Okay. So everybody, requesting all of you to stop your work and check my screen. Please check here. So first thing first, see what are the different vector stores available in market that you can use. Okay. So we have different vector stores. We have Facile, which is completely open source. It supports local. Basically, local means what? I can locally use a trained vector store, and it has support to LangChain integration. There is no cloud option basically, so we cannot have centralized system in Facile. Same with Chroma. Chroma is open source, local supported, no cloud option, so no centralization. LangChain integration is there. Then we have Pinecone, which is actually a centralized vector store, which is a cloud service offered by the website pinecone.com only, and it supports LangChain integration. Then we have Webvite. Webvite has both the local and cloud option. And Webvite as a tool is open source. Cloud option you may be need to pay for the hosting service basically. And of course it supports LangChain integration. Then we have Quadrant. Quadrant is also open source. You can use it locally for free. Cloud also once again for hosting on some additional security features, etc., etc. You will be paying for that. And yeah, it has LangChain integration. In my entire career, I have used Pinecone, Webvite, and Quadrant a lot in production environments. For SaaS, yeah, for POC purpose and all is good. I personally never used FSAS for production environment. This is me who is saying this. There are professionals who use FSAS also. By the way, I am not saying FSAS is bad. My personal suggestion, this is my personal opinion, it's off the record, never use Chroma. Pathetic. This is what I have experienced. When we do a load test, FSAS performs better than Chroma. I will be showing you demo of FSAS and Chroma, obviously, in the scope of the course, no doubt. But later, whenever time permits to you, study Pinecone Webvite. Pinecone and Webvite, they have trial versions. You can create an account. Try to work on Pinecone and Webvite on your own. Okay? This would be my suggestion. Okay? Now, apart from that, there are other services too. There is no doubt on that. If you ask me which service to use and all, let me tell you, you need to take decision based on the costing factor and all, because all vector stores are good. There's nothing like this is good, this is bad. No. In my experience, I have even used MongoDB as a vector DB. I use MongoDB Atlas as a vector DB also in one of my production. In one of my production, I have used Aurora, Amazon Aurora as vector DB. I used Amazon DynamoDB as vector DB. So see, I have even used MySQL as vector DB. Surprisingly, we have that options by the way. Vector search method basically. Point is what? Point is some professionals go based on their comfort, based on what they are working with. I have saw people using Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon Aurora like anything because they are working on those tools for more than 3, 4 years, 5 years, rather than going with the like a new one. Okay, but if you personally ask me which vector DB should we go for, see, once again, I don't know whether I'm the right person to answer this question, frankly, but in my entire experience, I have deployed more than 100 plus RAG applications, 100 plus agentic AI applications, to be very frank, including POCs and all. I always used Webvite and Pinecone, and the performance was perfect. I have worked with TBs of data, by the way. TBs. I'm not even talking about GBs. GBs is very normal. Even GBs are hard to crack. I work with TBs. Pinecone, Webvite, superb. FSAS and all is not good for TBs of data and all. Okay, let's be very frank on that. So my personal recommendation, Pinecone or Webvite. These two are my recommendations. You can play with other vector stores, no problem with that. So now coming back to my topic. What are the things that we discussed initially? Step 1 we discussed, step 2 we discussed, embedding initialization discussed, vector store creation discussed. Now here, just to show you an idea, see here, see my folder. This is day 5, sorry. Basic RAG. Right now, if you see, I have only the sample file and the notebook. Whenever you create a vector store, ideally, it is always recommended to save your vector store as a local object and use that local object in your API server or in your application server. It will help you to decrease the turnaround time of generating the output, ideally speaking. So here what I'm doing is I have just trained my vector store here in this line of code, and here I am saving. And in the saving, I'm also indirectly showing you how to reload a saved model. So indirectly I'm showing that also here. Indirectly I'm showing that also. And here in the latest version of FSAS, they are taking a declaration from us that whatever object you are loading, you trust that object. Whatever object you are loading, you trust that object, because recently, as per the security vulnerability threat assessment, it was observed that people were injecting malwares in the vector stores. Basically, there was a bug which was released around 1 year back. It was a 0-day error which was later confirmed by Symantec. From there, it came to the OWASP vulnerability assessment. From there, Facebook has realized that we need to take consent from user before they upload the data. That's why you will see a parameter called allow dangerous deserialization equals true. Basically, it's an indirect consent that Facebook is taking from user, saying that you trust this object. This object is created by you. Nobody messed up with this object. Nobody injected any rootkit or any malware in the object. That's the point. Okay. So if you ever see this kind of parameter, don't get worried or something. Dangerous word, why dangerous and all, don't think about that. They are taking a consent indirectly. So simple fuzzy generation. So if you see here, you will also see the vector store will be saved. Can you see? This is the vector store. Those who are from machine learning background, deep learning background, you may be aware of pickle files. See, indirectly it creates pickle model only. And remember, it's very easy to inject a virus or a malware in a pickle file. It's very easy. Trust me on that. And of course, we have the indexing. Someone asked me about indexing, right? So this is the index file. This is the secondary index file, basically, to be more precise. Okay. So physically, you can store fuzzies. Physically, you can store fuzzies. Now, similarly here, I just gave an option of showing how to use ChromaDB. Those who are interested to learn ChromaDB also, I have given the code. Initially, when you take a demo, just try it with fuzzies first, then play with ChromaDB. Now here I just shown an example of using vector store as a context extraction object. But this is something which we will not use. We will use something else. What we are going to do, if I go back to my whiteboard notes, here I hided something. Deliberately, I have hided something. The output of vector database is not generated directly. There's a small catch. It is generated using a retriever object. So now let me write down the full flow, because you should not disclose the full flow till the end of the class. The full flow is the output goes to something called a retriever object. What is the role of the retriever object? The role of the retriever object is to get context documents for the query. So practically speaking, when you're working on RAG application, user query doesn't go to vector database. The query technically comes here only. Because this retriever object is a two-way communication. It can talk with your vector database. Also, it can talk to your LLM. It can talk to your database. It can also talk to your LLM. So it is the LLM at times that may trigger the retriever object, or it may be the user that may trigger the retriever object. It depends on the application design. Now here I kept it simple. Let me show you what I have done here. So first of all, I created my retriever object, as you can see here. While creating retriever object, the only parameter I set is how many number of chunks I should get as an output. So I am requesting him to retrieve top 3 chunks. I can go with any number, by the way. Top 3, top 5, top 10. Even this is a parameter which you need to fine tune if you're not seeing a valid output. Now what you do? Now you are going to query your LLM. Now there are two ways to query. I am showing the old way and the new way. Actually, I should have deleted this, but okay. First, I'll show you the new way, because this is the way that you can work in LangChain 1.0. You cannot work in LangChain 1.0 using the previous method. First, let me discuss this, then I'll discuss the old way. So here what I'm doing, I created a prompt template saying you're a teacher teaching AI to students. Simple. And then here is the context. Who will generate this context? Retriever object will generate the context. Who will supply the input to the LLM? User will supply the input. Response will be generated by LLM. So I created a simple prompt template. As you can see here, input variable is context and input. Set up my LLM. And now I am using a function called create stuff document chain. Guys and girls, this function does this only. prompt to LLM. Everybody knows this simple chain, yes or no? The same code is done by this function. Nothing more than that. Do not overcomplicate your life. So I'm passing my LLM here. I'm passing my prompt here. Next, I'm using a function called create retrieval chain. Once again, this is a chain which interacts with the retriever. So I'm passing my retriever and I'm passing my query chain. This is the query chain, by the way. And now I'm using this QA object to ask the question. The question is, let's say, what is LangChain? So if everything is fine, oops, retrieval object I think I need to execute. I haven't executed that. Let me execute it. Now if I execute this, see the output. So LangChain, I'm getting output context, everything I'm getting here, input context. See, he is also, the result is showing even what context he considered. What context is considered. And this is the content. Page content contains the real answer. Sorry, not page content, my bad. The answer contains the real answer. These are all context. These are all the chunks that is being used to answer. This is the one that has the real answer. So basically, this is the answer. If I just execute this, if I just print it, it will give you a beautified output. So this is the one. LangChain is an open source framework, so and so. I can ask him another question, maybe. So maybe I can ask qa.invoke. I can ask, who is Prashant Nair? Who is Prashant Nair? I can ask him this question. And let me do one thing. Let me say of answer, just to ensure he only supplies the answer. Let's see what he says. Prashant Nair is recognized as one of the best trainers in the field of AI, specializing in integration of custom logic with large LLM models. And wow, custom logic okay, and utilization of external data APIs. His work often focuses on domain-specific or long-tail knowledge, helping to enhance the capabilities of AI systems. He should be my partner, man. He can write me a good CV and good profile in my LinkedIn. End of the day, see, why he is knowing me? Why he is knowing me? Because if you check the context, I only said one line. But he likes to sugarcoat the stuff, then can't help it. Point is what? He has a context. If you check the details from where he's, from what context he's giving me an answer. Let's see what context is giving an answer. Can you see context section? He took sample text. Prashant Nair is one of the best trainers in the AI. Custom logic. Okay, so he took other sentences also and then he linked with Prashant Nair. Can you see? These are the contexts that were supplied by whom? Supplied by whom? Supplied by the retriever object. Supplied by the retriever object. And then you have this result. Now one small thing that I want you all to observe. How many contexts we have here? How many documents are here? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many did we requested? How many did we requested? 3. Then why there is 4? Just now I realized I made a mistake. Actually, there are 2 A's here. Let me redo this. Sorry. There are 2 A's. I was thinking why I said 3, why it's coming 4. 4 is the default, by the way. Okay. 4 is the default. Now, if I just execute this again, maybe I'll just execute this now because I updated the, I need to execute this. Sorry. First, I'll execute this because here it will reset everything. Yeah, this has been executed. I'll re-execute it to ensure it's executed. This is old way, new way. Let me execute this. Let me execute this. Yeah, now you can see 1, 2, 3. 3 documents are already there. Can you see? So Prashant Nair is one of the best trainers in the AI, custom logic, custom whatever. And based on that, he created the final answer. LLM created the final answer. Hope this is clear, everybody. The flow is clear. Can we confirm? I taught you the new way. By the way, new way is very simple. And this is something that is supported in LangChain 1 also. Okay. Old way, if you're working on the legacy application, you will see a specialized chain called retrieval QA. You will always see everybody who creates RAG, they might use this class, retrieval QA. This is good up till 0.3. In LangChain 1, this will not work. Let me be very clear on that. This is deprecated, by the way, now. So, same thing, same query I'm doing. I'm not doing anything different here. And here I'm using retrieval QA object from chain type. I'm passing my LLM and then I'm passing my retrieval. Chain type stuff. Stuff means sequential chain. Chain type retrieval, keyword argument I'm passing is my prompt. That's it. And if you execute, you'll get the answer. Okay. So everybody, I'll give you this notebook. Go through this notebook top to bottom, step by step. Okay. Let me just first share the notebook and then I'll take all the questions. I'll call this as basic RAG. Oops. Okay, everybody check and confirm if you can access the notebook. You can type CA or can access. Thank you. Also, I'm just checking the queries in the chat box. Satish Babu, what is Azure? What about Azure Cosmos? Is that a vector storage option? Cosmos DB do have vector search support. You can use it if you want. But I need to check about the LangChain integration part. I'm not sure about that. That I need to check and confirm. Because I personally haven't used Cosmos, so I'm not sure about that. I mean, Cosmos with respect to RAG, so I'm not sure about that. Is there any guideline on what vector DB we need to use? Samir, like I discussed, see, frankly, you can use any vector DB. Turnaround time is something which you need to load test and confirm whether it complies with your application. Nothing more than that, frankly. If you're doing it for ad hoc analysis, go for Facile. That would be my suggestion. Chiki, what is the column for DB in vector database? What is the column? Are you talking about the fields in the vector database? Chiki, just confirm me that. Sai Vishnu, this information is loaded, right? Yeah. So retrieval is doing semantic search, return the matching context based on query. Exactly, Vishal. The one that you saw previous code, same thing internally. This retrieval object is doing. Correct. And who is making him do that? The chain that I created. Okay. Either it will be retrieval QA or it will be the create retrieval chain function. Yuvaraju, from where it is printing this extra words? LLM is using his knowledge also, na? LLM is using his knowledge based on the context. So to fill the fillers and all are added by LLM only. Do most vector DBs by default have vector search engine capabilities? Vector DB, vector search will be there for sure. If it's called a vector DB means it has capability to search. It internally uses the similarity search algorithms. Now other data platforms like Databricks have enabled vector. Yeah, of course. See, Databricks, especially like the DBFS system itself has vector capabilities. Jimit, just to add on. So I mean, Chiki, see, I mean, it has columns like ID, embedding, metadata, text, like that. It has columns like that. I mean, it depends on which vector database you're working on. Mostly in all vector database, there are 4 fields. One is the UUID, like chunk number. Then we have the embedding, which is the vector representation of the data. Then we have the metadata, which holds the file name, file source, page number, line number, like that, which is a dictionary object. And then the text, that is the actual data. So these are the 4 minimum fields that will be there. Along with that, there are different fields that are proprietary. Depends on the tool. In fact, you can just check. I will recommend Chiki, create an account in Pinecone website and check online in their portal only. When you create it, when you create your vector store, in the portal via web UI, you can access all the fields. You can check that once. Let me see if I can show you if I have a demo Pinecone account with me. I have commercial one. I need to check about the demo one. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I think I can safely show you this. Okay, see here. So this is one Pinecone I have created, a small basically retriever index I have created. So it's in hosted in the AWS East one. If you see here, can you see? I was talking about the column names, ID, source, text, and the confidence score. This is the output generated. Okay. Yeah. 1 minute. Huh? Text is the chunk. Yeah, Chicky, I'm unmuting you. 1 minute. Huh? Yeah, you can unmute yourself now. If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Others, can you hear them? Or is it only me? No, no. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Yes. Everybody, please go through the code. Thank you. Everybody in the class, can you please check your Google Drive and confirm if you can access both the assignments and today's whiteboard notes? Please confirm that to me. You should find two assignment folder and one PDF containing the notes that I prepared today. Perfect. Like I said, try to solve assignments. Assignments are important. It will help you. Solutions I will be giving next week. But I want honest attempts from everybody. Okay? And someone requested for the PDF. I'll give you the PDF also. Personally, I will not recommend you all to go through that right now, but those who are interested can go through. Learning LangChain PDF. Check and confirm if you can access that also. Okay, I will take all the questions now one by one. Mustaq already, okay, that's then. Veer, how context is passed here? Okay, okay, I'm in the same code only. So, see, rule is simple, Veer. When you're using this function, create stuff document chain, okay, whatever is the first input variable that you supply here, that becomes the context according to this function logic. That's why, see, I haven't written this way, input context. If I try this way, it will throw an error. You feel me? Context is not a keyword. You can have anything. You can say D1. Doesn't matter. But only thing is it should be D1 here. Whatever is the first parameter that you pass here, that is context. Second parameter is input. This is the expectation of create stuff document chain function. So technically it will be automatically taken care. Okay? Veer, I hope that's clear. I'll just change it back to context because just keeping the code more sensible. Vishal, is this the standard way? See, standard way is what? Context input should be there in your prompt template. Your prompts can be anything. I hope that's clear, Vishal. Remaining, the previous code that you showed me here, these all things are standard. Yes. This part is change it. You can change it based on whatever way you like. Kernel dies when using vector store. Your RAM is overutilized, Surya. Maybe restart your VS Code and try again. Maybe RAM is overutilized. OpenAI embedding. Okay. This model is not working, throwing me error. Don't have access to the model. Okay. It seems, Rupesh, your OpenAI API key is not available. That's why. Unfortunately, the coding parameter Apurva, I don't have access to that. So what I guess uh, let me see if I can have the chat log. If I have the chat log, I will upload it in Google Drive for you. Okay, Apurva? In the day file, I'll upload the chat log. I think I can download the chat log. Okay. Sanshipta, yes, you are having two assignments. I hope you are able to access two folders. Let me recheck. Yeah. RAG assignment and RAG assignment 2. Yeah, we have two assignments. Dynamically, we can switch between models and embeddings. Yes, you can. I am waiting to learn agents. As you mentioned that you have to build more than 100 agents. How many agents are we going to learn? One. Till now, we have not started working on agents. Very disappointing for me for the class field. I am learning generative AI as we have joined for agentic AI. Generative AI is the core basic for agentic AI, Sarji. And already I have given the scope clearly, right? So your agents is starting from tomorrow. Patience, very less patience, Sarji. Tomorrow is our agents class. Okay. Other models are OpenAI are working for me only test embedding, not loading. That's what mostly it will be due to OpenAI API key, Sarji. Maximum chances are that. These are two different functions, Shubham. Create stuff document chain. This is nothing but creating a basic chain where prompt and LLM is connected. Create retrieval chain, the chain responsible to interact with retriever to generate the context and provide the context to this chain so that they can get the output. So these are ready-made functions created by OpenAI which you can use for application. You can even create your custom chains just to keep you informed. So these two functions are only available in LangChain 0.3 or later, Yuvraju. Your old method will work. This will work for you. This will not work. The next one will not work because for this minimum you need this LangChain 0.3. Okay. Is vector store also working as custom knowledge base fed to LLM in the form of context doc? Yeah, of course. It is the vector store who is giving custom knowledge or basically context to be more precise. Shweta. We passed text data for chunks. Can this be some website reference as well? So Jatish, yesterday's code, if you remember, in the loader section, I have shown you an example of using web loader. You feel me? This answers your query. So you will load the website link. It will convert into documents and you can proceed further. What is the deadline of the assignment? Tomorrow. At least one assignment I want you all to solve. I'll share you the way how you can submit the assignment later. Tomorrow I'll be sharing that information. For now, please work on the assignment. Okay? And everybody give your honest attempt on the assignment. Try to prepare the assignment on your own. And if there are any other questions for me, you all can go ahead and raise your questions. Else, you all can type NQ confirming no questions for today. And as usual, everybody, as per the agenda, I guess we are going good with the agenda. Day 5, today is day 5. We have completed the core generative AI concept. So now technically till here, we learned basics in terms of becoming a Gen AI engineer. Okay. Tomorrow onwards, from technically tomorrow we are going to learn agents and tools. This is the core ingredient to start your journey on agentic AI. Agentic AI we are starting next week. But before that, see, you learned retrieval generation. Now you need to learn agent generation. Once you learn how to create tools and agents, then we will deep dive into agentic. Okay? Let me check the code. Prashant, please help me if you can upload one text doc in which class, which all topic are covering day-wise. So, Mustaq, this is there in the day one folder only, the same text file. Okay, you can check it once, confirm to me. How do we prune vector DB? It depends on which vector DB you're using, Chiki. More specifically, according to me, Facise doesn't have pruning, I believe. But yeah, in Pinecone, I can tell you we have something called index.delete. Something like that you can do. You can specify the filter based on something. Short and sweet delete. Got it, Chiki? Short and sweet delete. Or if you are talking about tuning orphaned vectors and all, then once again you need to be aware of the document ID and all. Then only you can do it. Hey, thanks, Surja. So everybody, if there are no more questions, I guess we are good to close the class for the day. Once again, please ensure you fill in the feedback forms. Happy with the session. Please give a score of 5. See you all in tomorrow's class. Tomorrow we are starting with LangChain agents. Thank you everyone. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.